going to be a very interesting session now coming up, and let's explore the regulatory side of the digital asset ecosystem. Please welcome Miss Mariam Saleem.
Freedom shows you sign. Don't you deserve to join a feast where thin kings dine? Money matters, everybody get in line. Money matters, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Mariam Saleem. I'm a lawyer and I'm a regulatory advisor around digital assets. So I'm going to start with a personal kind of story. I've been practicing law for the last 15, 20 years. It's been a very traditional kind of a practice, transactional law, mergers, acquisitions, and honestly, it's been like, my days have been filled with reading hundreds of pages of contracts and then advising clients on that. Around 2024, I came across Bitcoin, and my personal interest in that space started developing around it, and my life sort of changed from predictability and changed towards volatility and unpredictability that Bitcoin has. And I'll tell you something, when you put your money into something, you start looking at it differently. So I wasn't reading about it casually anymore. I became a little bit obsessed with it around the market, around the risks, and around the regulation. And then, as if on cue, in 2025, Pakistan launched their virtual assets ordinance, which was a law promulgated by the president. It was the first time that Pakistan recognized that there is something called a virtual asset, and there's activity around it, and now there needs to be regulation around it. At this point, I want to take a moment to appreciate the work of PVARA, which is actually the regulatory authority that has been formed under this law, especially Chairman of the authority, Bilal Bin Saqib, who has worked tirelessly to bring Pakistan into the international landscape around digital assets. And you know, his efforts can be seen in real time, and I'll take you through it now. So now we have a law which is in place, which has become a full-forced law. From the ordinance, it transformed into an act. It was passed by the National Assembly in 2026. We have the regulator, which is PVARA, and they have opened the pathways on how to actually get a license under this framework. So what does PVARA do? It's always helpful to kind of understand what the regulator does, what its core functions are, to be able to understand how it applies to you. So, of course, they are the main licensing and supervision authority. They issue the licenses. They have a register of what the licenses are. And then Pakistan takes AML and CFT compliance very seriously because, you know, we ended up in the FATF grey list a couple of years ago, and we don't want that to happen again. Any authority is as effective as the enforcement powers that it has. PVARA has the ability to fine up to 50 million rupees, 25 million per contravention, and also imprisonment of up to 5 years. So it's very important that people operating in this space know what kind of license they need to operate under it. And then they're also responsible for market integrity and innovation. So while they are responsible for protecting the consumers, they are also responsible for innovation. So we find out that PVARA is not just a licensing body, it is Pakistan's primary line of defense against illicit use of virtual assets, and it is also the primary enabler of compliant innovation. More businesses trigger this framework than you would think. The obvious use cases are, crypto exchanges, token issuances, and advising clients professionally. But also, there are a lot of less obvious use cases where, for example, you are accepting USDT at scale, or you are providing a payment gateway routing virtual asset transactions, or you're managing crypto portfolios, even if it's being done informally, even if you're just advising family and friends through a WhatsApp group, you could be caught under this framework. And what is something new, which was introduced in 2026, was Bitcoin mining. That is now also a regulated activity. So what is a virtual asset? There's a complicated technical definition that is contained in the Act, but in plain and simple terms, if it lives on a blockchain and people treat it as having value, you can buy it, sell it, invest, trade in it, it's almost certainly a virtual asset. So I'm going to talk about two specific kind of virtual assets today, fiat reference tokens and asset reference tokens. Fiat reference tokens are those kind of tokens which are pegged to fiat currency, like the US dollars. So the most famous kind of stablecoin is the USDT and the USDC. And asset reference tokens are those which are backed by real world assets. It could be property, it could be gold, it could be a basket of different commodities. And this represents ownership rights or economic interests in those assets. So while both of these tokens have the same technology, they are regulated in a different way. Currently, the framework provides for asset reference tokens an entryway for asset reference token, but fiat reference tokens are not yet accessible under the framework. This is a couple of situations where the Virtual Assets Act does not apply. There's something called a closed loop or a closed ecosystem. For example, you go to a carnival and you buy tokens to play the games and enjoy the rides. Those tokens are not usable anywhere else outside that carnival. So that would be a closed ecosystem. So for that, you do not fall within the virtual asset framework. Also excluded are shares and bonds and all financial instruments already regulated by the SPP or the SECP. And in future, if we have a digital currency issued by any central bank, by the State Bank of Pakistan, which are also called CBDCs, these will also not be included in this framework. So there's about 10 regulated services which are listed in the Act. If any of them sound familiar or they resonate with your business, you should definitely be aware of this Act and understand your position under this framework. And these are the different kinds of services which are caught. So the PVARA is currently providing 4 different kinds of licenses. There's a virtual asset and exchange license, a custodian wallet provider license, and an advisory and brokerage license. These 3 licenses are currently available under the NOC route. Token issuance licenses are now under the Sandbox regulatory scheme, and you can now apply for an asset reference token issuance under the regulatory Sandbox scheme. So you have to really figure out which kind of license applies to your business, and then you apply for that license because you don't want to be operating outside that framework. So currently there's 2 routes for you to enter as a VASP in Pakistan. The first route is the NOC route. So you apply for a no objection certificate that's issued by PVARA, you register with AML and CFT, you incorporate your company locally in Pakistan, and then you reach towards a full VASP license, which is issued. Currently, there are no fully licensed exchanges or VASPs in Pakistan. There have been 2 NOCs issued. One was for Binance and one is for HTX, and they're both on their way towards a full license. The second pathway is the Sandbox route. This is also going to be operated in a phased approach. Currently, it's open to ARTs only. Tokenization of real estate, commodities, multi-asset structures, that is something that will all follow through from here. So both routes eventually lead to full licensing, but the NOC route is for established service categories, and the sandbox is for innovative tokenization structures, and both require genuine compliance from day one. So the SPP and PVARA relationship is also very important whenever we're discussing virtual assets. So although PVARA's position is very clear, it is the primary regulator for all digital assets, it is subject to FIRA, which is the Foreign Exchange Regulations Act. So in essence, the SPP and PVARA have to move together whenever there is any element of cross-border remittances or movement of money across the borders. The SPP has traditionally been very conservative in its approach, but after what happened last week, which we will just go towards in a minute, I think they're broadening their approach, and we are fast moving towards integration. So what happened on the 14th of April was that SBP gave a new circular. That was a milestone for our framework, because for the first time in Pakistan's history, there exists a legal pathway for crypto businesses to hold bank accounts. So what it does is that now a VASP may apply for a bank account, and they're given that access which was denied for years. But the rules around that are quite strict. The account may be in PKR only. Client money is fully ring-fenced. There can be no cash in or cash out, and no interest can be earned. If we compare Pakistan to other jurisdictions, we are architecturally closest to VARA in the UAE. But as I mentioned earlier, we're moving very fast in this space, and it's very commendable, the amount of work that we have already done. So the cost of getting it wrong can be very expensive. You can end up with a 5 years imprisonment. 50 million rupees is a maximum criminal fine for any unlicensed activity, and for every contravention, you can be charged up to 25 million rupees. So the alternative is seeking regulatory scoping early on, because the cost of restructuring after enforcement takes place may be too expensive. So the three things that I would like to take, for you to take away from this is that PVARA is live, and it applies to a lot more businesses than you may think. The test that they use is more substance rather than what you're going to label the product as. And the compliance pathway is now open, so you have NOC for 4 different kinds of services and the sandbox for the asset reference tokens. The first mover compliance advantage is real, and it's available today. PVARA is building an ecosystem, and it values the proactive actors, but that window will not remain open indefinitely. So stay informed, stay compliant, and stay ahead. If there's any questions, I can take them.
Any questions, please? Ushers, mic दे दें इनको.
मेरा बहुत ही बेसिक सा क्वेश्चन है. एक साइड पे SEC कहता है कि जो भी सिक्योरिटी है वो सिक्योरिटी है, इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ उसकी जो भी रिकॉर्ड है, चाहे वो डिजिटली है, चाहे वो पेपर फॉर्म में है, या फ्यूचर में वो ब्लॉकचेन पे रिकॉर्ड होती है. ठीक है, उसका एक ही रेगुलेटर है SEC. ऑन द अदर हैंड पाकिस्तान में PVARA कहता है कि जो भी ब्लॉकचेन से रिलेटेड ट्रांजैक्शंस होंगी वो PVARA का मैंडेट है. लेकिन फ्यूचर में अगर ये सिक्योरिटीज़ SEC भी चाहता है कि हम इसको ब्लॉकचेन पे लेके जाते हैं, या रियल एस्टेट की टोकनाइजेशन होती है, या किसी सिक्योरिटी की टोकनाइजेशन होती है, तो यहाँ पे कौन लीड करेगा रेगुलेटरी पर्सपेक्टिव से? कन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट लाजमी बात है. SEC भी कहता है कि सिक्योरिटीज़ मेरा मैंडेट है, PVARA कहता है ब्लॉकचेन से रिलेटेड जो भी चीज़ें हैं वो PVARA का मैंडेट है. तो सिक्योरिटी की फॉर्म चेंज करने से उसकी जो एसेंस है वो तो चेंज नहीं हो रही, फिर रेगुलेटर्स क्यों चेंज हो रहे हैं?
So the thing is कि ये Pakistan is a little bit we can learn from other jurisdictions, right? So right now, currently, our law says that anything that is regulated by the SECP and SBP, all financial instruments regulated by them, they will not be regulated by PVARA, right? So, and also there is room in the law for them to work together. Because काफ़ी ऐसी चीज़ें होती हैं where there are dual regulators. There's a primary regulator and then there's a dual regulator because you have the specialist regulator in that field as well. But how securities are treated is just evolving even now in the US, right? So we have that opportunity that once it comes into play, we learn and decide where we want to draw the lines for everything. So that's how we'll just learn along the way.
कोई और सवाल? माइक दे दें इनको.
I want to ask that why is Pakistan so scarce about how we can use bitcoins? Why can't we invest in it freely like the other countries?
So now we have the framework that's coming in, right? Because sometimes bitcoins and all kinds of cryptocurrency can be dangerous for people to use because there's scams, they can trick you. But this is why it's so important to have a law in place to protect the consumers so that people like you and people like me can buy bitcoins. And that is what the government is moving towards now.
Thank you so much.
Who else? Any more question? माइक दीजिएगा प्लीज. बैक साइड पे. थैंक यू.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
Assalamu alaikum.
अच्छा मैम, ये सवाल था आपसे कि आप आने वाले वक्त के अंदर जो क्रिप्टो है पाकिस्तान को उसको किस हिसाब से देख रहे हैं? जैसे कि एक्सचेंजेस अभी सिर्फ मतलब कुछ रेगुलेटेड हुई हैं, तो पाकिस्तान को क्या क्रिप्टो करेंसी की तरफ नेक्स्ट मूव होगा मज़ीद?
सॉरी, आप रिपीट करें अपना सवाल, मुझे क्लियर नहीं है.
मेरा सवाल ये था आपसे कि जो जिस तरह अभी क्रिप्टो करेंसीज पाकिस्तान में आ रहे हैं, इसमें मतलब काम हो रहा है, तो देयर आर सेवरल ट्रेडर्स इन क्रिप्टो जो उनसे इधर पाकिस्तान में मौजूद हैं, लेकिन जो इशू है उनको ये है कि क्रिप्टो अभी इधर तक कम्प्लीटली रेगुलेटेड नहीं हुई. तो आप इसको मतलब लीगल हो जाएगी आने वाले वक्त में? पाकिस्तान को किस तरह देख रहे हैं क्रिप्टो के हिसाब से?
देखिए, जो लॉ होता है ना, दैट ऑलवेज फॉलोज इनोवेशन. जब भी आप देखते हैं कि टेक्नोलॉजी में चेंज आता है तो इनोवेशन पहले आती है, रेगुलेशन बाद में आती है. तो आपको पता ही होगा कि पाकिस्तान has been the third largest crypto adopter in the world, and that was without any kind of legislation, right? But what happens is that once the system becomes more sophisticated, it is very important to have a framework in place ताकि clarity हो. अगर if there's international big companies who want to come in, consumer protection locally, it's important for that framework to be developed. So that is exactly what we are doing, and they are developing it in a phased approach, which is what international jurisdictions have done as well. So we cannot expect that overnight everything will happen and everything is done. They need to do it in a phased approach and learn on the way, because this is something where the technology moves much faster than the law, right? The nature of the technology is that it's constantly evolving and it's difficult for the regulator to keep up with it. And that's not just in Pakistan, that's a world over phenomena, right? So this is what we can do, that we keep updating the law and providing regulatory clarity so that all businesses in this field become legitimate, which is what they're trying to do.
Thank you, Jazakallah.
Anyone else? Okay, please उसको बाइक दीजिएगा.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
My name is Amna. I want to ask that how it's beneficial for us in our next generation, and how it's beneficial for Pakistan.
Cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Okay. So crypto it's very big, okay? Cryptocurrency is just a type of crypto. I would say that crypto is kind of like a technology, right? So whenever a new technology comes in, you make use of it, right? In different areas of life. It's not just one thing. So for example, when the internet came in, we didn't even realize what are the kind of implications that the internet would bring about, right? So even crypto is a kind of technology which we will see seeping into all aspects of our lives. So crypto is based on something called blockchain technology, and that technology is something where, I mean, everything is moving onto it. And without it, we will be left behind. So it is a technology where we have to make use of. The world is going towards decentralization. So whenever we talk about cryptocurrency, it has become synonymous with decentralized finance, which means people have lost trust in central banks, and they want that there should be nobody in charge of who is issuing the money, you know? So then you have a code. Everybody trusts the code more than any kind of regulator. And for example, Bitcoin, you know that there's only 21 million in supply. Nobody else can issue more, and you kind of trust the system. So that's how it's moving.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a second question, please. Kadir साहब को mic दीजिएगा, please यहाँ पे.
अच्छा, एज अ ऑडिटर हम सबसे पहले किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूशन या कंपनी की गवर्नेंस देखते हैं. तो पीवारा ने जो एक्ट बनाया है उसमें तो वो बड़ी कॉपी पेस्ट चीज़ें हैं SEC से, पीवारा से, लेकिन इनकी अपनी गवर्नेंस पे अगर हम बात करें, ऑन द वन साइड बिलाल बिन साकिब बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स में हैं वर्ल्ड लिबरेटरी फाइनेंस के, और उनके साथ एक एग्रीमेंट एक्सप्लोर किया जा रहा है कि USD1 जो कि वर्ल्ड लिबरेटरी वालों की ही है, वो एज अ स्टेबल कॉइन पाकिस्तान में यूज़ करें. इतनी रेगुलेटरी उसमें हम FATF में भी थे, क्यों ना हम एक अच्छी कंपनी की तरफ जाते, USDC को एक्सप्लोर करते, USDT को करते, वाई USD1? बिकॉज कन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट यहाँ पे भी है.
Okay, so how I'd like to answer that is that, first of all, it's only an MOU which has been signed so far, so there's nothing that is legally binding. And if you heard my presentation, we don't have the framework on stablecoins yet, okay? And having said that, international companies are very interested. Like you're talking about USDC, Circle has been interested in entering Pakistan. But before any company enters, we need clarity on the whole framework. So when I was talking about fiat reference token, that is what a stablecoin is, right? So the SBP and PVARA are working in alignment to develop a framework to regulate stablecoins and fiat reference tokens. Until and unless there's more progress on that, we will not have international companies coming in like that. And as far as Bilal is concerned and signing of MOU with USD1, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, we have very strict compliance standards because for us to stay out of the FATF grey list, we have to comply, right? So there's no question there, and Pakistan is aware of that. We are all aware of that. So, you know, he's putting us out there. We're being recognized. I don't see that as a bad thing.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I think this has been the most interactive session throughout the day, and people were actually waiting for you to come. And I love how students are interacting, asking questions, and are so, you know, financially aware these days.
We have that demographic where most of our population is under 30, and we are the third largest crypto adopters in the world. So I think it's important, and it's nice to see so many young kids being interested in this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please stay back. We want to give you a token of appreciation. Yes.
And I'd like to request Mr. Akbar Mahmood, Regional Manager North, K-Trade Securities, please, if you could join us on stage. And Mr. Jabran Siddiqui, man behind Money Matters. Please, sir. Thank you.
Money matters. Money matters. Money matters.